So I'm Janelle. I am your unique presenter for the week. Kelly has graciously agreed to host this beauty boot camp so that we can go over some commonly asked beauty questions. So today's demo, we're going to go over brows. Now I have two different ways that I do my brows. Younique has brow sets. You can buy the pencil separate and the gel separate, or you can buy them as a set and save a little bit. I love our pencils, a couple reasons. One, there's no sharpening. It is a twisty, twist up kind, and there is a spoolie on the end. So a spoolie is going to help brush your brows. These pencils were specifically designed, they're waterproof, sweat-proof, smudge-proof, all of that. But the other thing is that the diameter of this pencil is really, really tiny. And so they did that specifically to mimic the diameter of a brow hair. So these are going to give you very natural looking brows. So that's part one. This goes with it. This is the brow gel, and it's the cutest little mini mascara. Look at that. It's like this little teeny tiny mascara. And these sets all come in light, medium, and dark. For my brows and my hair color, I use medium, but I have used dark before. It's not too much of a difference, but they pretty much hit everybody's brow colors. So another cool thing about this brow gel is that they actually formulated it with some fibers in it. There's not a lot like our mascara, but there's a little bit of fibers to help fill in the spots. It's tinted to match the brow pencil color, and it's also formulated with our Uplift Beauty Serum, which is super nourishing and moisturizing, so it's going to help your brows be healthier and hopefully not thin out quite as much. So this is the first one I'm going to use to do my brows. I'm going to grab a mirror, and I'm going to do one brow this way and then the other brow another way. All right, so depending on how much brow you have, see, mine are very, very sparse. I think they pretty much always have been. Like my mom, my sister, all of ours are pretty sparse. For me, I like a really defined brow. If you just want a little bit of help, which I highly recommend. I mean, look at my look, right? I've got everything done, but my brows aren't, and it still looks disheveled. Brows really pull together your whole look, and it really opens your eyes and brings attention to your eyes. So it's a really important step in our beauty routine, I think. So if you have thick brows, really you can get away with just sort of defining the bottom line and filling in. Super easy. For me, I'm going to do a more detailed brow because I just don't have a whole lot there. So here's what I do is I'm going to come about right here. So maybe 3/4 of the way in, and I'm going to start making small strokes and defining that bottom line. I'm going to follow it out. I'm staying in my brow hair. I'm not overdrawing. I'm not drawing it like down here, right? So we're going to stay in that line so you can see where I am so far and you can see the difference. Look at just that little difference. Isn't that crazy? So I'm going to do the same thing on the top. I'm going to be even more careful this time. And I'm just going to follow the natural line of my brows. And then I'm going to just kind of connect these two, and I'm using a very, very light hand. There's no reason to draw it on hard, because then you're going to get those fake looking brows, which if that's your taste, then by all means. But for most of us, we like them pretty natural looking. All right, so I'm going to fill this part in ever so lightly. Okay, so look at the difference already. Isn't that crazy? I love brows. Brows are like my favorite thing to do. Okay, so next what I'm going to do, if you've noticed, the trend is really to have a lighter inner section, and that's so that your brows don't look so fake. If you square this off or even round it really hard, it's going to be really noticeable that you have drawn your brows on. But if you very lightly fade in here, it's going to look a little bit more natural. So that's what we're going to do today. But by all means, makeup is very subjective, and it's whatever you think is beautiful. So I'm going to do it very lightly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly define that bottom line, and then I'm going to take the pencil, and this is what I'm talking about with those really fine points, is I'm going to very lightly draw brow hair straight up. Now this is just how I like to do my brows. You can take your pencil and just fill it in, but this is how I like to do it, so I do it straight up. And I am barely touching my brows. So there, that's it for one brow. Now what I can also do, I lost the lid to my pencil already. Gosh, I always do that. Is you can take the other end, the spoolie end, if you think you've drawn a little bit too thick or your brow hairs are unruly, and you can always brush them out. You can brush a little bit of the product out. You can tame your brows. So that is that. So then the next thing I do is I come back with the brow gel, my little mascara wand, and here's the trick. So if you need a lot of help filling in, you can go backwards to brush it in to catch all those hairs and then brush it smooth. I don't think I want to put too much more in, so I'm just going to make sure everything stays in place. So I'm going to brush these up in the front and then over on the side. Okay, so look at the difference. One brow done and one brow not done. It is crazy. I'm obsessed with brows. I think that a good clean brow can change anyone's look. Ooh, I found the lid. Hang on. Okay, so there is a second way that I do my brows. I can't really say which one's my favorite because honestly, I alternate back and forth. But the other way is actually with our eyeshadow palette. So the cool thing about doing it this way is that if you buy the palette, you've got the eyeshadow for your eyeshadow look, and you also have your brows taken care of in one palette. So this is our browns. This is our most popular palette because everybody looks good in these colors. Depending on your eyebrow, like your hair color and your eyebrow color, if you have really light hair, you can use Chipper, right? If you would use the light brow set, but everybody else is pretty much going to use Forthright. So that's just a matte dark brown. You definitely want to use a matte. Please do not use a shimmer on your brows and say I told you to do it, because I just didn't. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, so the other thing you're going to need is an angled shadow brush. Now, Younique carries a full line of makeup brushes. You can buy them individually, or you can buy them in sets, or you can buy the whole thing. So like the eye set is all of our eye pencils. The face set is all of our face, did I say pencils? All of our eye brushes. The face set is all of the face brushes, and then there's the complete set. So this one is the liner shader brush. I don't know if you can see that. So I'm going to use the liner end, and this end has a regular brush. So this is actually a really great brush to get with this palette because you've got your brows and you can use it as eyeliner, and you've got a brush for the eyeshadow. So really cool. Now, one other thing I like to do, you don't have to do it. It depends on how much definition you want in your brows. Like I said, I like them pretty defined, is I like to wet my brush because it makes it more of a gel. So if anybody uses like Anastasia dip brow, like that kind of thing, this makes it more like that. But if you just want light filling in of your brows, you can always do it with just a dry brush. But I'm going to use our rose water. This is our toning rose water. We use this for everything, you guys. I'll get more into that later. So I just spritzed it and I'm brushing it into the bristles. And I'm going to go into Forthright. I'm just going to rub my brush up and down, get some on there, and then I'm just going to tap it off. All right, so I do pretty much the same thing, but with this liner shader brush. So I'm going to start here again, and I'm going to draw a line, right? I'm just following my natural brow shape. Everybody's brow shape is a little bit different. I'm going to do the same thing on the top. All right. Now, let me say this while I'm doing this, because they do look a little bit different, and they will. Even if I use the same product, your brows are never going to look exactly the same. And it is really painful for a perfectionist like me. I think a lot of women are perfectionists. But you have to remember your brows are not twins, they're sisters. So they're supposed to look alike, but they're not supposed to look identical. It's just not possible. Your natural brows are not that way. Okay, so we have half a brow done, just like we did before. And then I'm going to take this line and I'm going to ever so lightly, because I don't want a super drawn on line, is underline that part. And then I'm going to lightly fill this in. And then I can also take the end of this brush and do those hairs, just like I was talking about. Now this I'll need a little bit more touch up with. And I'm going to kind of square that off a little bit. All right, so I'm going to just brush some of those ones that went a little bit crazy there. And I'm going to all right, I gotta get ready to go in a minute. Sorry guys, live video is crazy because you can't predict what's gonna happen. My father-in-law just came in. I've got my little nephew here. Okay, so you can see the brows. Thanks, Kelly. Just a little bit of practice. Honestly, I thought it was a lot harder than what it was, and then it ended up not being that hard. So last thing real quick, one of the other things that I like to do is, even though I did the eyeshadow, I still want to go back with the gel because I just like how this, I'll be right there, Bunny.
Can I please have some Cocoa Bunnies?
I'll be right there. Sorry, kid's breaking in. This helps just keep those brow hairs in place. Helps it a little bit with that waterproof kind of factor. So there we go, we have brows. And look at how different. Go back to the beginning of the video when you're done, because once I save it, the video will be able to replay. And look at how different my whole look changed just from putting brows on. So I hope this helps. I would be glad to answer questions that you guys might have, but I'm gonna run because I've got kids breaking in. Have a good day, ladies. I'll see you tomorrow.